And a Fox News alert now. We're just learning 367 members of the House, Republicans and Democrats, have just sent a letter to President Obama warning about, quote, grave and urgent issues on the negotiations with Tehran. Republican Senator Richard Burr out of North Carolina is the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he is with me now in studio. And nice to see you again in person,
Bill,
sir.
good morning.
Thank you, Senator. What do you make of this? Members underscore verifiable constraints on Iran's program that must last for decades. That's Republicans and Democrats saying that. What does that tell you?
Well, Bill, members of Congress are worried about this administration's negotiations with Tehran. And probably the weekend told a lot when the Ayatollah came out and reiterated death to America. Do we really negotiate in an honest and forward way with individuals like this? And the administration has consistently done it for 2.5 years and ignored what Congress thought, ignored Congress from a standpoint of updates. They should have expected that Congress at some point would be very vocal, and I think that's what you're seeing in the House.
This shows a clear concern that they want to know that what's going on.
Absolutely.
Or they want to make sure that the deal is done right.
And I think this is a warning sign to the administration. Congress will weigh in, whether you want us to or not.
John Brennan with Chris Wallace from the CIA on Sunday. Listen here on Iran.
I think they realize that there's going to be tremendous costs and consequences and implications if they were to decide to go for a breakout. There are a number of things that the United States has available to it to prevent Iran from getting a bomb. President Obama has made it very clear that we are going to prevent Iran from having that type of nuclear weapon that they were going on the track to obtain. So if they decide to go down that route, they know that they will do so at their peril.
Well, who is his audience when he agrees to do that Sunday interview?
Well, I think in this particular case, I think John was going out defending the intelligence community, just how good we are and how much work the men and women who do it every day.
So it's not a message to the American people, it's not a message to lawmakers, it's not a message to the Iranian leaders?
I don't think so. John was across the board on issues, and I think he was really highlighting just the professionalism that we have there. But make no mistake about it, we have consistently been behind the curve as it relates to Iran nuclear. I would love to say that we know everything about Iran, but there's not as much inside information that we're able to gather. We rely on our partners around the world. And Bill, this is why it's so important. It's why the Congress speaks out. If we don't have those partners, we begin to have hearing loss and sight loss. And as we talk about cutting a bad deal in Iran, that puts our partners in jeopardy from a standpoint of their relationship with us. We could just be fueling an expansion of nuclear proliferation in the Middle East, not a contraction.
And that may be the case already. Some have suggested that's already underway. But your point about what knowledge we have about Iran's program. Brennan pretty much said the U.S. knows more about their program than Tehran thinks. Well, do you believe that to be the case?
Listen, we're good, but we're not perfect. And the reality is that Iran continues to have programs that are unreported to the international inspectors. They have yet to have access in some facilities. And I've got to believe that with all the talk, there's some hidden projects that are underway. Will we capture those in these negotiations? Not from what I've heard or seen, but it's incumbent on the administration to share with Congress all the details.
And the president thinks you and members of Congress are going to get in the way of a deal. Are you?
Well, listen, we thought it was important in the Senate to say to the Supreme Leader, you know, this deal's about 18 months good if Congress doesn't sign off on it because this president, this administration will be gone. But when 367 members of the House send a letter to the president, they ought to take that as a warning shot. If for some reason Congress believes this is a bad deal, there will be the action taken immediately.
There's a deadline in about a week's time.
Yeah.
What comes of this?
Oh, I think that I'll rely on Senator Corker and Senator Menendez and the Foreign Relations Committee. I think they'll take some action this week as they begin to talk about legislation. But
this week?
Yeah.
Action?
I think
in
so.
The Senate?
I think they probably will in the Foreign Affairs Committee. But the American people have a big disconnect when they say Congress has to sign off on a trade agreement, but not a nuclear agreement. Something's wrong here, and I think the president would be wise to come to the Hill.
There was a story over the weekend in the Wall Street Journal that France is riding a tougher line than any other group, any other member in these negotiations. Senator, good to see you.
Great to be with you.
Richard Burr from North Carolina, the Republican with us in studio. Thank you.
Bill.